Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everybody. Friday morning. We're all looking forward to the weekend, I suppose. But today, I just want to hop in here with you very briefly to talk about a little bit about how you can deal with difficult conversations. I have started my new program this week. Last Monday was the kickoff of it. Great, 5 amazing ladies with me to learn how to decode difficult conversations. And yesterday, Thursday, we had our first group coaching call where, after reviewing the material, learning the material I provided to them on Monday, which it will happen every Monday for 10 weeks, we got into a call to discuss and brainstorm the learnings, the answering the questions, and just try to figure out new ways of how we can prepare ourselves for those so uncomfortable and so stressing, energy draining moments when we know we need to have a difficult conversation. The topic of this week, it was about the art of dialogue, the importance of creating dialogue. And I'm telling you here, I'm now starting to raise a flag to support building dialogues, because I believe that the whole mechanism and dynamics of our lives nowadays through this environment is in a way killing dialogue. And we don't even go to talk today here about emails and texting. But if you think about how we are communicating nowadays, most of us posting and sometimes doing videos like me here, but this is a monologue. This is not a dialogue. A dialogue requires us to be fully present and fully connected with the other person. And I do believe we are losing that. And I'm here to raise the flag of the need of starting re-educating ourselves to build dialogue. Because one of the most important foundations to deal with any difficult conversation, especially when they escalate to a conflict, is the ability, the skills of building dialogue, of creating a space where dialogue can flow. Dialogue means that this is a communication that flows both sides. You speak, I speak. While I speak, you listen. In a dialogue also requires, a true dialogue requires that we listen to each other. And we are not accustomed to listen to each other. At least we don't listen to understand. We listen to respond. So, without going too much into details of this topic, because if you want to know the details, you come to the training with me. But I want to point out this because for the preparation to get into any difficult conversation, whether it's in a meeting, whether it's with your children, whether it's with your spouse, your lover, your friend, in that preparation, you have to be to consciously prepare how you will develop the dialogue, how would you frame the dialogue, how would you be able to build a safe space where the other person feels confident and safe to speak openly and honestly. One of the questions that was asked during the private coaching session, which I want to share with you here, was this: how to create a shared meaning. Because to create a dialogue, we need to have some shared meaning. What is a shared meaning? When we get into a conversation, whatever conversation is, you have your opinions, I have mine. We all have a different perspective of the world, physically even, because if I put an object here in between us, you will see this object differently from how I see it. Even if this object is a sphere, which you say, oh, it's all the sides are the same, but also this sphere has a background. In my background, the background I see is different from the background you see. So we see the world differently. So when we get into a conversation, we all have our own views of the topic in question. And in order to create a dialogue, meaning we both want to have a conversation about this topic, we need to create a shared meaning. That means that there are, in this conversation, there'll be elements, values, beliefs, ideas that we both share. And that has to be established from the beginning, because that indicates that we both have the same level of interest in building this conversation, in having this dialogue. The second question was, what are the ways to create a safe environment? I do believe that the way to start creating a self environment is by listening, is by allowing others to be seen, heard, and understood. You, as a leader, it's your job to build that space, to build a space where people feel seen, heard, and understood. And how do you do that? By listening more and speaking less. You have to listen actively. Easier said than done. Listening actively means that you listen with the intention to understand. How do you prepare yourself? How do you practice active listening? By asking questions, but really paying attention. Yes, we all know that it's difficult to keep focused in one person when the person is speaking, because our mind works in mysterious ways that when we hear some information, it drives us away in a certain place in time where we relate to that, to what was said. And that is a process that is, we do it constantly, unconsciously, in a conversation. And practicing active listening requires us to bring ourselves back to the conversations consciously. So it's building this awareness that when you start drifting away, you bring yourself back. And bring yourself back consciously means bringing yourself to your body. Being present means being present in the body. You really need to feel your body. I'm here, so then I'm listening. And there are techniques of learning how to come back to your body, how to be present and be grounded and continuous listening. Asking question is another strategy to help you in active listening. And asking question also gives the other person the feeling that, what I say matters. She's really listening. And you know what? When you start asking questions, relevant questions, not any questions, not questions to make your point, not questions to challenge the other person, but questions with the intention to understand, what will happen is the person will feel heard. And the person will also start to be more careful with what she or he is saying. The next one is, do the physical space affect, that's some spelling there, do the physical space affect the conversation? Absolutely. If you are having a difficult conversation and you go back to have this conversation in an environment where the disagreement started, the energy is still there. The energy, it will be in you when you get into that space. So as part of your preparation, it's also important that you think, where do I want to have this conversation? And definitely try to have it in person. If not in person, well, here isn't one alternative, but in a way that you see each other, you need to see each other's face. And if this is still not possible, a phone call, because at least you can hear the voice, and in the voice there are some emotions that you can perceive. Because the big mistake, and I wrote a post today about that text and emailing has an atomic bomb effect in destroying any conversation when they are difficult, because we need to understand other people, not only what they say, but also to read their gestures, their body language, their voice, intonation, modulation. These all plays an important role in our conversation, especially when we are persuading, especially when this conversation is difficult. So the physical space, yes, it does affect. So if you want to have a conversation with a friend, for example, that you appreciate your friendship, but you're having some conflict, think about a place where you both have good times, a place that you both enjoy, but also a place that you have is quite enough for you to have a conversation. You're not going to invite a friend to a disco to have a difficult conversation, of course, but a place that you feel good, a place that is special for both of you. Same for your spouse when you're having conflict. And there you set the space, the container for your conversation. So these are my 3 tips for you today. And I will go back, I'll be coming back here on Fridays after I have my conversation with my lovely and amazing, um, ladies who are taking part of my Decoding Difficult Conversations 10-week group coaching program. So if you want to know more about, and if you want to maybe join the next program, get in touch. And for now, have a wonderful weekend and look after yourself.